Tonight on CTV News, concerns are raised around dog attacks in Christchurch. Should the city's busiest streets be reduced to 30 kilometres an hour? And a local filmmaker takes his film to the Chathams.
Broadcasting across Canterbury, from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Kia ora, good evening. Welcome to CTV News, now streaming live online at ctv.co.nz. Well, a 22-year-old woman has been charged with attempting to supply more than $60,000 worth of both Class A and C drugs into Christchurch Men's Prison. Methamphetamine and cannabis were some of the items stopped from getting in, including tobacco and synthetics. Police say the large haul of contraband were detected by dog handling and intelligence staff on prison grounds a month ago. The find comes at a time where many prisons are in the spotlight for multiple allegations, with the government forced to take over the management of Mount Eden Prison back in July. Is changing the speed limit on busy Christchurch roads the answer to achieving a lower death toll among cyclists? Chelsea Daniels has the latest.
Cyclist deaths on roads are 5 times less likely if road speeds are reduced, according to a Christchurch-based traffic expert.
A big effect it has is on the likelihood and severity of crashes, and this particularly shows up with the more vulnerable users like pedestrians and cyclists, for example. If you go from, say, 40 k's to 50 k's, you typically double the risk of injuries or severe injuries. If you go from 30 to 50, it's about 5 times the risk.
He says Christchurch commuters have to get used to sharing the road with multiple forms of transport.
So if you are looking at an arterial road, then it's an appropriate thing to get the feedback from those who are driving along. But a lot of these other areas, effectively drivers are guests in those places, and they have to understand that. It's a bit like driving your driveway. You don't zoom down your driveway because you know there's people about.
He wants to target suburban shopping streets, suburban residential areas and around schools.
There's a lot of other parts of the network that are more about places in their own right. They're where people live, they're where people shop and work. And they're not really for people trying to shoot through and get a shortcut. So those places, we should be making sure it's safe for people to use them, the places in that area, not for the cars to get through from A to B as quickly as possible.
Corey likens cyclist advocates to Muslim terrorists, saying the stigma needs to stop.
You always remember the few that perhaps caused you upset, you know, the terrorist who blows something up, the cyclist who does something illegal in front of you and so forth. But, you know, most people that's not the case. And one city councillor and avid cyclist agrees.
If we look at particular places where in fact there's a history of traffic crashes, and people know that there are some set areas where in fact it's very important to take particular care, and therefore there's good reason to bring in a 30-kilometre limit.
New Zealand saw 10 cyclist deaths on roads last year alone, with 158 serious injuries, the highest in 5 years. 65% of these were of no fault of the cyclist.
I think it's really important to get it right, and I think it is realistic though in that the evidence is that having cars and trucks going slower means that there are fewer accidents and fewer people being injured and fewer deaths on our roads.
And Clearwater is confident the council will take this speed change proposal seriously.
We've known for quite a long time that, you know, that saying, speed kills, and also that the faster people drive, and we drive, the more likely, one, you'd have an accident, and two, that there's to be injury or serious injury. So we've known that, but I think having a refresh on what the recent research is will really focus our minds as a council, and I think it should focus our minds as a community.
The issue is to be discussed at council this Thursday. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
So what do drivers think about the proposed change? Well, reporter Chelsea Daniels went to find out.
I do think that motorists should be a bit more aware that cyclists are on the road, but changing the speed limit down to 30 won't work. We'll just end up with more revenue collecting, won't we, from the old police department.
Great idea.
Why do you think that?
Safety, number one. I think the message isn't getting through. Speed, energy, kills people. Got to slow down.
I think probably in the city areas, really, where it's quite heavily built up, 30 would be okay. But I think on sort of roads around town, 50's fine, I think.
Dreadful.
Why do you think that?
50's okay. It's not that fast.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
I think that's a good idea, yeah. Especially with the roads the way they are, I think it's a very good idea.
Yeah, especially, and it's safer for cyclists, obviously.
Yeah, and cycling is more and more popular, so I think it would encourage more people to do more exercise and feel safe on the road, and for children as well.
Police have released further details into the fatal crash of a cyclist on Evans Pass Road. 59-year-old Richard Caldwell died after he went over the handlebars of his bike and hit his head on the road. His funeral was held at the Harewood Crematorium. He left behind his wife Trish, son Matthew and stepdaughter Laura. Police say investigations are continuing. A spate of dog attacks in Christchurch has prompted anger and fear for some dog owners. J. McLennan has more.
Richard Simpson was away on holiday when he got the call that his family dog Zola had been savagely attacked. His dog sitter's family was walking the greyhound in the estuary in Ferrymead when 3 Staffordshire Bull Terriers raced across and attacked.
Then 3 dogs, 3 Staffordshire Bull Terriers have come across from the other car park and attacked Zola quite savagely. They've jumped on her back, torn her back wide open. She's come round to our dog sitter to get protection, and as she's come back towards her, she said it kind of realised that if I came right towards you, the dogs would attack you as well, and then the kids that were right behind her. So she pulled away and they got Zola on her back. She's now got 3 staffies on her back, just mauling.
The dogs ripped a large wound in Zola's back and left bite marks all over her body. She managed to struggle out of their grasp before bolting off. The staffies chased her for about 1 kilometre, but she got away, disappearing into the industrial area and hiding until the dog sitter found her. While Zola survived the ordeal, it has taken a massive amount of staples and $1,300 in vet bills so far to bring her back to health. Vet Dr Griff Lash said she is lucky to be alive as the doctors were very close to puncturing a lung. The big question for Simpson is, will the owners be caught?
These are 3 possibly lovely dogs in the wrong hands. We've identified staffies because we have to find the owners. The owners are responsible for the attack, they're responsible for the vet bill, they're responsible for almost killing our dog. They're also responsible for the way that they treated our dog sitter, the language, and also the threat. There was a threat for serious injury issued to our dog sitter. That's with the police. So these people need to be found.
Unfortunately, this is one of many unresolved dog attacks in Christchurch. A New Brighton resident posted to a community Facebook page recently, saying that her dog was attacked by 2 vicious, uncontrollable pit bull types around North New Brighton Beach. She took photos of the dog owners as they left the scene, hoping to identify them. The post has sparked a heated debate on dog control, with more than 60 comments already. Some argue that it's simply the breed of dog, while others blame the owners and authorities for not doing something to control them. In another case earlier this year, a black Labrador was attacked at South New Brighton Beach by 2 dogs. The owners could not control the dogs, leaving Cass the black lab with deep gashes across her back. The owners were never found. While it can be tricky to track owners, there are ways you can break up dog fights in the first place.
The moment you sense that your dogs or the dogs are in a condition where they're going over threshold, take your leash and pull it through the handle so you've got a noose. Once you've got a noose, you can throw it over a dog, any dog, doesn't matter which one. And in a multi-dog situation, taking any dog out of the melee will help temper the outcome.
A City Council spokesperson said they could not comment on particular cases until the owners had been caught. Punishments range from a simple fee of $75 to $100 to destroying the dog, imprisoning owners and fining them up to $20,000. If you have any information on dog attacks, call the City Council on 941 8999. J. McLennan, CTV News.
Well, still to come here on CTV News, a local filmmaker takes his film abroad. Welcome back to CTV News, where police have identified the group of men in a white van who allegedly sexually assaulted a woman last Friday night. The sex worker says she was assaulted by 3 men while being driven around the central city. Police have also spoken to the driver of a red Holden Commodore being sought in connection with a separate attack on a sex worker also on Friday night. Detective Sergeant Jeremy Gunn says there are no indication of the 2 assaults being connected. Well, the long-lasting Christchurch Cathedral debate has taken a new angle, with an overseas mayor putting his 2 cents in.
Save the Cathedral campaigners hope a plea from the mayor and bishop of a city in Armenia will convince the Anglican Church to rethink the cathedral demolition. They have sent letters to leaders here after campaigner Jeffrey Rathburn visited the Eastern European city, Gyumri, last month. He made the trip specifically because he'd heard about the cathedral restoration there. More than 24,000 people died in an earthquake in Gyumri in 1988, and the cathedral and its city square was almost completely destroyed. But over the past 20 years, they have rebuilt it. Mr. Rathburn spoke with both the Gyumri mayor and bishop about the challenges of rebuilding the cathedral. He was also interviewed by media about the situation in Christchurch. In a letter to Leanne Dalzell, Gyumri mayor Samval Balasanyan has now asked her to support the cathedral restoration campaigners. He said while the restoration work for their own cathedral was huge, it was worth it in the long run. The Anglican Church has wanted to demolish the cathedral and build a modern replacement, but legal challenges from heritage campaigners have held up the plans. Mr. Rathburn hoped the Armenian example would inspire leaders here.
Another group of Chinese investors are in town discussing their contribution to the region's rebuild. They hope to meet with local companies here to hopefully speed up the building process, but there's still a long way to go. More investment for Christchurch's rebuild. The Chinese Chamber of Commerce were in town discussing their potential involvement in the city's recovery. The seminar is in place to introduce new high-quality building materials into the Christchurch rebuild market, enabling more choice for local enterprises to help speed up the process and make Christchurch a beautiful garden city again. A friendship agreement was signed last month by the Christchurch City Council and one of China's biggest development companies, with the possibility of seeing a major cash injection into the rebuild. $3 billion is the ballpark figure from the Chinese company that could likely help boost the recovery and local economy. It's not understood yet where the money would go and what projects they're interested in, although the deal was also designed to help improve ties with the country for other opportunities, including export.
Our
goal was to break down the communication barriers between New Zealand and China, and we'll try our best to do this. But they're hopeful they can make investment opportunities happen. We are quite confident that we can do this job correctly, and the China Chamber of Commerce will work with New Zealand with that. Before we came to New Zealand, we did the research and see Christchurch is short on supplies like building and lighting materials, so we will work with local companies and help to rebuild the city. It's another step that may help speed up the city's rebuild program into the future. Jared McCulloch, CTV News. It's been 3 years in the making. A local filmmaker is heading to the Chatham Islands to shoot the last few scenes of his movie, and he's taking the Wizard of New Zealand with him. Checking in for their 2-week adventure, the Wizard of New Zealand's packing his bags, taking on his next on-screen project.
This is like I said, a remarkable place, and it'll be a wonderful film. You can see it having great potential.
The Wizard and the Commodore has been the focus for producer Sam Miller for the past 3 years, travelling back and forth from Christchurch to the Chatham Islands, turning his idea into a documentary.
We filmed the Pit Island muster, a lot of the culture on Chathams and stuff people have never seen because the amount of time it's taken to do, and also with the Wizard going over there and the Chatham Islands Commodore, who's a bit of a gem.
The doco looks at what the Chatham Islands has to offer, following the stories of our iconic Wizard and the island's Commodore.
lives in this wild, remote spot, and we should be staying there, and it really is like camping out. An old shed somewhere, something on the floor, no power. It's got an interesting place.
But it's been a long time coming for the film.
We were working on another project with a UK company, which never came to fruition, and so but I found that the Chathams was so interesting that doing a documentary over there is just really fun, you know.
But there's also another special addition to the film.
A message in a bottle, it's always got a sort of magical thing because you don't know where it's going to go. It's better to hope than it is to arrive, and travelling is so exciting. The thought of these little bottles somewhere in the Pacific wobbling around, making their way somewhere, that's a nice thought. But if it is a good current, who knows? They may get there within 5 or 10 years.
We'll be releasing these messages in a bottle for the kids over there and see where they go around the world.
He's hoping the film will appear in international film festivals, showcasing the culture from New Zealand's Eastern Island.
You can almost say fantasy documentary, but that just sounds wrong, but yeah, like that, you know, so it's got an interesting element in it, yeah, which I think there's a lyrical element. We're going back to sort of the 1800s and how things were back then, you know.
But for now, the film is set to hit cinema screens here and in the Chathams by February next year. Jared McCulloch, CTV News. Now here's Andrew King with what's happening in your neighbourhood.
The books are back on the shelves, computers are booted up, and the Papanui Library is back in business. The library has been closed for 2 months while earthquake repairs were completed inside and out. But today the doors on Langdons Road opened again 2 days later than originally planned. Work was needed to strengthen the building after it suffered damage in the February 2011 quake. The repairs included replacing the ceiling tiles, lighting and insulation, external painting, repairs to the windows, wall panels and fixing up the entrance foyer. Meanwhile, at Shirley Boys High, their 57-year-old library has finally gone due to the February earthquake. The building was severely damaged in the quake and the bulldozers finally came in to finish it off this week. Yesterday, the final 5 columns of the building were torn down by Canterbury Demolition and replaced with portacoms, which will house a temporary library. A new library will be built on the site. Removing car parks in the main street of Lincoln has been labelled ridiculous. Plans are afoot to reduce the car parks and lower the speed limit in Gerald Street to 30 km per hour as Lincoln grows at a spectacular rate. After years of development, the draft Lincoln Town Centre plan just needs to be signed off at tomorrow's District Council meeting before it can be put out for public consultation next month. Under the plan, car parks on the north side of Gerald Street would be removed for cycleways on both sides of the road and a widened footpath on the south side. But Famous Grouse hotel owner Craig Bradford said removing the car parks on the main street was ridiculous as there wasn't enough of them as it was. Scenic Akaroa may have a problem, too much rubbish and poor maintenance of footpaths and roads. That's the view of residents who will make deputations to the local community board tomorrow morning. The call to tidy up Akaroa comes as the cruise ship season begins. From the newsroom, I'm Andrew King.
Thanks, Andrew. We're still to come here on CTV News, Sport and your region's weather forecast. To sport now, October is a big month for international cricket in the Garden City. Gordon Finlater has more.
The future talents of New Zealand and Sri Lanka cricket are testing themselves against one another throughout Canterbury this month in the A Squad series consisting of 4 one-day games and 2 first-class matches. With 12 days of international cricket over the space of a month, locals are being treated to one of the highest standards of the game.
There's Black Caps playing, you got Adam Milne bowling at 150k, so that's always worth watching. Colin Munro and a number of others. Satin is here, obviously he's just been selected in the test side, so some very good cricketers to watch and ones for the future.
And it's the future that's very much in mind with these A series, exposing our top young talent to a foreign flavour.
I don't think the Sri Lankan A spin bowling group is particularly strong this year, unfortunately. But you know, it's like when we go over there to Sri Lanka and we get to play in their conditions as well. I think that's hugely beneficial, and it's also nice for these players leading into a domestic season to get this sort of level of cricket under their belt.
While the Black Caps are preparing for a big test series across the ditch in November, continually improving those players on the heels of the country's elite is vital.
I think all these guys have got big futures as well, and the good thing is they're all pretty level-headed, feet on the ground sort of guys, and the great thing about it is it's building depth for New Zealand cricket, and that's what we want. We want the guys at the top that are doing a great job at the moment to be pushed even harder.
Today's game at Lincoln was the fourth and final 50-over game between the sides, with New Zealand impressing on home soil to date.
It's just really nice to get out here in the sun on pitches outside of the indoor stuff and see our players doing what they're doing right now, and you know, they've played extremely well, and 3-0 up in the series is a good place to be.
New Zealand and Sri Lanka will now turn their attention to the Red Bull, with the first of 2 4-day games getting underway at Hagley Oval on Saturday. Gordon Findlater, CTV Sport.
Well, let's take a look now at your region's weather forecast.
Kia ora Canterbury. Well, grey skies and southerly winds greeted us first thing this morning. A little bit of light patchy rain for some places. That cleared up around the midday and afternoon mark though. Now updated temperatures, Timaru you actually on 15 degrees and Twizel you actually took out 18 today, the region's high. 14 degrees was actually the high there for Christchurch. That also shared by Akaroa and Ashburton, and Downfield you took out 15 today. Heading further north, it was a little bit colder than we predicted as well. Kaikoura actually taking out 12 degrees. Colvin also on 12 there, 14 for you, Rangiora and Oxford 15. And over to the Alpine region, a little bit of a change here. 14 degrees was actually the high for Arthur's Pass, so you doubled that 7. Looking ahead for tomorrow, Timaru, 15 degrees is your expected high with light winds coming through the day. Quite a nice one for your Wednesday, and 7 for your morning start. Ashburton, you can also expect that sunshine. 16 degrees for your high with northeasterly winds tending in the afternoon. Christchurch, you might see some of those northerlies coming on later on as well. 16 degrees for your high, so not a bad hump day in store. And looking ahead to Kaikoura, 16 degrees for your high there, light winds, and we're seeing a few coastal breezes in the afternoon. The rest of the Canterbury region can also expect those sunny skies. Northeasterlies for Temuka and Geraldine, 16 degrees is your high Waimate, and 15 for you Twizel. Central Canterbury, a nice calm settled Wednesday for you guys. 16 for Akaroa is the high there, northeasterlies also for you, and Downfield on 17 with light winds. Heading further north, sunshine here, 17 degrees is the high there for Amberley, Colvin, Rangiora and Cheviot. Amberley, lovely blue skies for you, 18 though for Oxford there. Over to the mountain ranges, sunshine for you Lake Tekapo on 13 degrees and 14 for Arthur's Pass. Looking ahead, Thursday, sun for everyone. Northeasterly winds for you at Ashburton and northerlies for Christchurch. 19's the high for Timaru and Christchurch, so not too bad with those temperatures. On Friday it gets warmer though. We're seeing 22 degrees for Timaru and Ashburton. Northwesterlies for you Ashburton, but mostly light winds for everyone else and a few sea breezes in the afternoon. On Thursday we're seeing those sunny skies and northerly winds coming through, highs between the 17 to 19 degree mark. And looking ahead to Friday, we are expecting the highs to increase. We're expecting 21 to 24 to be the standard temperatures for the highs. Lovely sunshine here and a few cloudy patches, but a pretty good day in store. So over the next few days we're expecting the end of the week to be nice, calm and settled weather. Beautiful sunshine out and about, so enjoy that. And that's your update for Tuesday.
Thanks for that, Mercy, and that is CTV News for Tuesday. You can find all our stories and bulletins on demand at ctv.co.nz. But for now, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jared McCulloch. Have a great evening.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.